But at least it is competitive to a point where, like, Democrats are sweating this one.
Every time we get close to a consequential election, Barack Obama comes off the bench like Robert Horry.
Oh, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Like they got to call him in to try to win a championship.
And it was like, oh, they're obviously waiting for this election to happen because they know that these federal workers are pissed off.
The reason we're bringing this up, this is the disconnect of the Democratic Party.
Bingo.
They don't have a message.
Nope.
Our nation is standing up for American workers, restoring the pride of making products here at home. That's what we do every day. We're America's beverage companies, making American products with American workers in America's hometowns, delivering brands that have been enjoyed for generations, creating good-paying jobs, the kind that require only a strong work ethic. Because we believe in the promise of America and the people who make it great.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Good Tuesday to you, Election Day 2025. I am Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug. Michael Duncan and John Ashbrook left to right across your radio dial. Welcome back to Ruthless. We're going to get into an awful lot of this if you are voting today, particularly if you are in Virginia or New Jersey or in Manhattan somewhere where you expect to have an Islamic extremist communist.
All five boroughs.
Yeah. You've got something to listen to here. And if you don't, we're going to tell you why you give a shit. Because there's an awful lot to watch on all of that. Obama has also entered the fray. We've got some hysterical stuff as it relates to his interaction with this particular election. Unbelievable. Senator Dave McCormick with us, one of our absolute favorites from Pennsylvania, here on the program. And then we got a lot of variety and just good times to have by all here in the next, however long it takes us. So thank you for joining us.
And that's a great lineup. This is going to be a great show.
It is going to be great. So one of the things that Democrats have done, because they have basically no national message as to how it is that they are going to help anyone, and they've tried to capitalize just on like the anti-Trump stuff, is that they've tried to be edgy. You know, like it was a podcast election and they're like, oh, dude, well, we're just too focused on controlling mainstream media distribution over the last 30 years. So we need to be edgy and fun and whatever. But they like missed the fun part. And so now they're just like randomly swearing into a microphone. And I just don't feel like it's going great for them. But it's a perfect encapsulation by the old fat man. In Illinois, JB Pritzker. To have a look at this clip. Clip one.
Republicans want to take billions away from public schools and pump it into private institutions. They want to punish teachers for telling the truth. They want to criminalize educators for supporting LGBTQ students. They want to turn classrooms into cultural war battlegrounds. And I'm sorry to be vulgar, but Donald Trump and his cronies can fuck all the way off.
Ooh,
Wow.
look at the fat man. He can fuck all the way off. Amazing. So, of course, he's talking about school choice, which is like heaven forbid people who spend all of their taxpayer dollars supporting a whole bunch of schools that aren't educating their kids could take the money that they're supposed to allocate for their kids and choose a school that actually does educate them, which, that's offensive in Chicago. But then he's got a lot of other pieces to it. The most important part was the punchline, fellas.
Well, it's important to remember that the JB and JB Pritzker stands for Jelly Belly. So you've got the fat man over here talking about, like, we don't want to allow cronies of Donald Trump to turn classrooms into a cultural battleground. What do you think the left has done to them?
Right.
What do you think has happened to schools?
That's what it is.
During COVID, parents got to see firsthand what has happened to public education in this country. And it's horrible, but none more so than in the city of Chicago, where something like 90% of students can't even leave high school reading.
Yeah, in fact, like the only thing the teachers unions in Chicago have done successfully is turn the schools into a cultural battleground.
That's the
'Cause
only
it
thing they've accomplished.
Sure shit isn't educating students.
Their math scores are like this, and it wasn't until COVID that everybody was like, "You're teaching them what?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That they became aware of what it is that's going on. But you can fuck all the way off for questioning.
Well,
those
that's what the
things.
fat man wants people to think, that he is somehow this brand new figure for Democrats, and he's going to somehow be better than Gavin Newsom or Zohran Mamdani. And media, you should pay attention to me because I say the word fuck in front of a bunch of teachers. That's going to
They're
get
like,
us.
we hear this every day in our classrooms from our students attacking us. It's not a novelty.
We teach them.
Yeah.
We teach them that. No, it's unbelievable. So, like, look, these are the contenders. We covered Gavin Newsom last week, and that just insane bout of hypocrisy where he was like,
He was like, he grew up on 8 Mile and like
Yeah.
Wonder Bread.
eating
Yeah.
Wonder Bread.
And the basketball was fraying in the backyard.
Yeah.
Because he's such a sports star.
Yeah. So, but this is like a battle that they're having internally. So, like, at some level, even your most sort of like dyed-in-the-wool establishment Democrat has to look around and be like, we need a touch of leadership here, and we've got none. And so maybe former President Barack Obama still can hold all of that. So he shows up, as he does for every dog catcher's race with a partisan affiliation one way or another. I mean, it's amazing to me how he's just like personally invested in degrading the office of President of the United States. And he shows up in Virginia because he's got a big thing here. Clip 2.
So at a time when our politics feels broken, we need desperately leaders like Abigail, public servants who are in it for the right reasons and are focused on the future.
I mean,
So, okay, so that's where he's at with Abigail Spanberger, who's
It's
running
interesting.
for governor in Virginia. We're going to get into breaking down all of these races so you can have an understanding of where this whole thing's at. Not surprising that Barack Obama is endorsing the Democrat.
over Winsome Sears.
But
it's
it is
notable.
sort of interesting and notable that this endorsement is one that he's shown up at in Virginia, because I think he felt pretty strongly about a couple of characteristics about candidates in the not too distant past. Clip 3.
Someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you're thinking about sitting out, and you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that.
So that was President Obama campaigning for Kamala Harris, telling a room full of black men that they need to go vote for Kamala Harris. He's like, you black guys, why aren't you supporting a black woman in this race? And now he shows up and he's like, you got to vote for Abigail.
Yeah. So now you've got an affluent suburban white woman who happens to have a Democratic Party label, and that is going to supersede the African American, by the way, who served our country honorably, that he is now, it matters not. They don't vote Democrat, so I'm going to get personally involved. It's sort of an interesting juxtaposition, isn't it?
It's crazy. It's almost like Barack Obama has no principles. Is anyone surprised by this? I'm so sick of this guy. Just real quick, I'm so sick of Barack Obama because he built this fake image of himself as being, I'm above partisan politics. I'm a statesman. I care deeply about my country. I'm a historical figure. I'm above the fray of politics. And then he shows up when it's like, you could set your watch. Whenever it's campaign time, he shows up and just toes the line for the left, no matter where they are. He has no principles. He has no guiding beliefs in anything. He even called Zohran Mamdani this past weekend. He was like, I want to be a sounding board for you. But on that, I can understand. If you're an African Muslim, you got to stick together.
Oh, my Lord.
That's digressing. I'm sorry. Back to you, Duncan.
Well, I was going to say, how do you follow that? But I was going to say, what does this tell you about the state of Democratic politics, that like the guy who was president 10 years ago is still the main draw?
Yeah.
And they've had a Democratic president since then. His name was Joe Biden, and he's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
That every time we get close to a consequential election, Barack Obama comes off the bench like Robert Horry.
Oh, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Like they got to call him in to try to win a championship.
He's like the only one that can get the two people in a stadium together. But what I find so fascinating about this, like, first of all, the guy weighs in on like redistricting fights.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like there's no level low enough in politics where he doesn't put the partisan cap on and go to work.
Well, if it's redistricting, he sends his bagman Eric Holder on the ground. Like,
Yeah.
there's money to be made. There's the Netflix deal. You got Eric Holder.
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy's just looking for ways for
and
income.
all of these things, all the way down to the redistricting stuff, is all funded by the same 10 billionaires that are best friends with Barack Obama.
Yep.
Like, he wants a nice picture with Alex Soros that overlooks Midtown Manhattan, right?
Yes.
So he's got to weigh in because he's controlled by literally like 5 people.
I think that's fair. But just so you're following the line here, he told all of us in 2024, black men in particular, you have to vote for Kamala because she's one of us.
Yeah.
Shows up in Virginia to say you need to vote for Abigail Spanberger.
Yeah.
The one of us argument notwithstanding
Yeah.
because of her opponent, so we won't talk about that. But he did get to something similar. Look at the next clip, clip 4.
They put on a big show of deporting people and targeting transgender folks. They never miss a chance to scapegoat minorities and DEI for every problem under the sun. You got a flat tire? DEI.
Oh!
No.
Oh, but we're still worried about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh, that was a punchline? I was like waiting for it.
No, that's it.
Yeah, it's not a Netflix comedy special, clearly, that they signed him with.
Also, dude, just in that, can we play? You don't need to play the audio, but can we play that clip again? If you guys noticed, like, look, Spanberger sitting here, just bobbleheading along, like she's got something profound that she's reacting to.
Right.
Obama's like, oh, DEI. Oh, DEI.
And the audience doesn't seem super, like, he doesn't have the same aura he did.
No, he doesn't.
A lot of the whole, like, Obama mystique has clearly faded. That audience was not really into it.
Well, you can't keep the same sheen on a penny when you are the back-to-back elected president of the United States. You've ushered in these big Democratic majorities. You've done all the things that Barack Obama did during his career. And then you spent the last 10 years campaigning for literally every douche in America that has a D party label. Like this isn't special.
I mean, like,
Abigail
even
Spanberger is not a special candidate.
When I had the exact same reaction to that audience as Smug. I mean, they did not seem animated. They did not seem like the type of people who were ready to reach for their wallets to fund his $850 million library.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that money didn't come from the grassroots. It probably came from Soros and others.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe Barack Obama has seen the ad that Abigail Spanberger is running against Winsome Sears, you know, right now. I mean, like, it's election day, but if you live in Virginia, you've definitely seen it. I'm talking about the I Am Speaking ad on Winsome Earl Sears. It's the sort of ad that if a Republican ran that ad, it would be a racist dog whistle, and it would be on MSNBC every single night.
It would have been rejected by the networks.
Right, because it portrays her as an angry black woman.
Yep.
But she's a Republican, so they're allowed to do it.
Yeah, right.
That's a great point, man.
Dude, it is so true.
Yep.
And the fact that he can skate through as late as September of last year saying, black men, you got to support one of your own. Transition into the whitest of white bread candidates of Abigail Spanberger running against a self-made African-American woman and say, like, don't, like, forget all that I said.
Right.
But then in the same speech say, like, oh, and they're just trying to demonize minorities and DEI. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What is the calculation? This is the reason we're bringing this up. This is the disconnect of the Democratic Party.
Bingo.
They don't have a message.
Nope.
They know that historically speaking, they've been able to squeeze as much blood out of the stone at trying to ensure that any opponents are racist or they're sexist or they're in one cylinder where I'm talking to this person and they all hate you. And that's the only thing they can do, because they certainly can't say, like, oh, our economic policies work great. The people are like, yeah, the 13% inflation was awesome. Thank you so much. So they can't talk about that. They have to talk about things entirely as an identity. But as they're transitioning here from Barack Obama's Democratic Party to Zohran Mamdani's, which is what we're watching in New York City, they still have to go through the motions even when it doesn't fit. When you have more African American support of the Republican Party, more Hispanic support of the Republican Party, more women coming to the Republican Party, they still have to play all of those because they don't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah.
No, they really
And they
don't
can't say like, nah, we're just communists. We hope you are too. Right?
Which is what they're saying without saying.
So this is the theory that you authored about why it is that the government shutdown was overlaid on top of, in particular, this Virginia election, which was a novel concept at the time. We got some pushback. People were like, I don't know, government. Hugh, I think, a great friend of the program, Hugh Hewitt, was like, I don't know. I feel like government workers know more about how government works, and they're going to know who's stopping funding. And like, we disagree with that, in that we thought, and you primarily, Ashbrook, thought that Democrats were attempting to cut paychecks off from people in Northern Virginia because they wanted them animated for today's election. Well, it turns out that has taken hold. And now you see cracks in the armor that we've built up over the last couple of weeks that people have been talking about. And Teddy Ballgame, Ted Cruz, has talked about your very theory on the air. Can we play the next clip 5?
Will the government open this upcoming week? This is getting seriously impacting the U.S. economy. What's your take?
I think it's likely to open Wednesday or Thursday of this week. The Democrats will wait until after Election Day because they think a shutdown is good for energizing the crazies in their party. But I think it'll be either late this week or early next week.
Okay.
There it is.
So that's what you said.
That's exactly right. We started talking about this, you guys will remember, right around the No Kings rallies that happened on October the 18th. To most people, it looked like just angry libs out there holding signs, but to people who worked in campaigns, it looked an awful lot like a GOTV effort to turn out early vote and to make sure that people in Northern Virginia who weren't signed up to vote and weren't ready to vote were basically signed up. And so it started there, and it was like, oh, they're obviously waiting for this election to happen because they know that these federal workers are pissed off. I mean, they've been going to work without paychecks, or they've been furloughed, waiting home. Like, these are people who are providing for families. You know what I mean? It's easy to just sort of like dunk on the bureaucrats, but I mean, if you break it down, they're people who are providing for their families, and Democrats know that they generally align with the Democrat Party, and they
as an expansion of government. I mean, that's the party that expands government, so it's good for them.
They know that if those people are pissed off, and if they are not going into work every day, they are more likely to be a pissed off Democrat who goes and votes early, and that's what they wanted. And if you look at the early vote totals in Northern Virginia, Fairfax, Prince William, Arlington, it shows big numbers for turnout.
Yeah.
And so they got what they wanted.
All right, we're going to get into all of that as we break down these early vote numbers and what you can expect today. We're going to get to all of that and a little bit more analysis right after this.
America's demand for energy is rising rapidly, and at a time when American families can least afford an energy shortage. But for decades, critical energy projects have been blocked, limiting our access to reliable, affordable American energy and putting America's energy dominance at risk. The solution is obvious. Overhaul the broken energy permitting process. Make it faster and simpler. Innovation, a strong workforce, abundant oil and gas. We have it all right here in the USA. Let's put America first and political agendas last. We can power our own country, create thousands of good-paying American jobs, and unleash American energy to be bigger and better than ever before. Because when America builds, America wins. Read API's plan to secure America's future at permittingreformnow.org. Paid for by the American Petroleum Institute.
Okay, so into Election Day here, 2025. Let me just preface this by saying Virginia and New Jersey, two blue states. Two states Donald Trump has never carried. Two states that over the last 10 to 15 years has been very blue. New Jersey is one that has been a little bit more competitive under Trump. Virginia is one that has been a lot less competitive under Trump. They go two different directions on all of this. All that being said, in an off-year election, when you've got a party out of power, there would be something just short of a cataclysmic event to the Democratic Party. I'm not saying this to like hedge expectations, but if Democrats were to lose one of those top ticket items in New Jersey or Virginia while they're trying to show momentum and energy and all these nonsensical no kings rallies and government shutdowns and everything else, it would be catastrophic for the Democratic Party. If somehow a governor's mansion that, but for Chris Christie in 2 terms, has been owned and operated by Democrats for, you know, at least 2/3 of the last 30 years, that would be like they would have to reconsider a whole bunch of different things. Virginia, they feel great. They think that it's just like in an off-year election where you get low propensity Republican voters to basically sit it out. They think like we're cakewalking. That's why they didn't walk away from Jay Jones, by the way.
Yep.
Guy says he wants to murder his political opponents and kill the children and watch all of that. And like everybody is just sort of like, well, we're not walking away from our candidate for attorney general. Like, of course, normally in a competitive election, you'd be like, my God, that's abhorrent. Get his ass out of here.
Their grassroots and mainstream Democrats are of that opinion. We discussed that last week.
Yeah. But some of this sort of breaks itself down in the context of early vote, what we're looking at, and some of the things that we wanted to give you an idea of what it is that you're going to see tonight. And the first was this New York Times. I think you are the one that flagged the graphics in the Times, Duncan, where they're tracking the early vote in New York, New Jersey, and Virginia. Can you give us an idea of what it is that we're looking at?
Yeah, I think the important thing whenever you get into an election day is to see where we currently stand, right? Because so much of the vote now, especially in the era after COVID, is not just in-person early vote, but also vote by mail. Can we put up that first graphic, please? All right, so this is New Jersey governor's race. Early and mail vote through November 1st, almost 1.2 million. At the same time, in 2024, is 1.767.
Wow.
You know, so what you're seeing is obviously, to your point earlier, Holmes, a lower turnout affair whenever you have one of these off-year, you know, elections in a
like
place like New
in a
Jersey.
ranking of turnouts. Just I think this is self-explanatory for most people, but presidential elections are number 1, midterms are number 2. Anything off-year, even if it's in a state that votes off-year every time, it's still lower than a midterm.
Right.
Yeah, and so the important thing to look at a place in like New Jersey, because back from the Secretary of State's office, you actually get party registration for, you know, the in-person early vote and the vote by mail. Let's put up that next graphic. All right, so what you see is that back in 2024, again, a high turnout election, presidential election year, of all ballots, Democrats had 46% of the advance votes, those being mail and early in person. Republicans had 29. The unaffiliated voters represented 25% of the electorate in 2024, before Election Day. In 2025, so far, the advance votes Democratic 51%, so an improvement of 5 points. Republicans still exactly where they are, but again, in a low turnout environment, you're going to get less of those low propensity unaffiliated votes who make up only 20% of the electorate heading into election
So this
day
is
today.
the big fear, right? I don't think there's anybody who can disagree that Jack Ciattarelli is a better candidate than Mickey Sherrill. He just is. And by the way, I don't know if you guys saw the video of his son coming home from Kuwait.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Just so cool. His son fully expected to be deployed. He was deployed, came back day before the election, gave his dad a big hug. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? He's a great candidate. But in the era over the last 10 years, what we've had in the Republican Party is a retraction in off-year and midterm turnout in a very significant way, in a way that can't be ignored. It's not that we've lost everything, but in states where you're like on a razor's edge, you're dealing with a turnout that you see on behalf of Donald Trump in presidential elections, that there is somewhere between a quarter and larger that just don't show up on these off-year elections. And this is the kind of thing that would make you nervous about all of that because my guess is, and we didn't dig in anything beyond what the New York Times has done, but it looks to me like you got your high propensity Republicans exactly where you imagine them to be.
Right.
They're going to show up. They're going to vote.
Right. And Chitterelli has run an outstanding race, and Cheryl is a terrible candidate and has run a terrible race. And I think we're going to see the evidence of that tonight when the votes come in. One of the great friends of the program, Adam Geller, he is a great pollster. He is Chitterelli's pollster, and he has told us that this race is much, much closer than the mainstream media will have you to believe, and that if they can hit their election day turnout numbers, then they can get home tonight. So we'll see. It's a lot of big ifs.
It's a lot of big ifs, but there is a track record of this for Chitterelli in 2000.
Did the same thing.
Right, 21.
Election,
He did the same thing. I remember he went into Election Day, I think, trailing, at least on registration, by over 200,000 votes, and then he crushed Election Day.
Against an incumbent governor.
The one difference, obviously, being who's the party in power. In 2021, it was Joe Biden, and now it's Donald Trump. And so the atmospherics are a little bit different, but he's certainly capable of it.
Right, and atmospherics do matter a hell of a lot. And the other thing about New Jersey is that there are 850,000 more registered Democrats in that state than Republicans. All of that means that Republicans have fought an uphill battle throughout this campaign. But the fact that we're close, given all of that, I mean, that's a win.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hit a keyhole at 50 yards in order to win a state like New Jersey on an off year when your party's in power.
Right.
But at least it is competitive to a point where, like, Democrats are sweating this one. And if you talk to Democrats, like, they don't want the story the next day if somehow they come up short in New Jersey. So if you're in New Jersey and you haven't voted, buddy, it's your job, man. You got to get out there.
If you got family or friends in Jersey, you give them a call and make sure they vote for Chitterelli.
You got to get out there. I don't want to hear a single complaint from anybody about anything that happens over the next 3 years if you didn't find the time to go vote at this point and you have the opportunity, because it is narrative building. And trust me when I say the National Democrats will go one way or another depending upon how these things sort of sort out. Let's get to the next one in Virginia. This is going to be Duncan.
The next graphic,
3.
let's show the turnout in Virginia. So this is the governor's race in Virginia. Back in 2024, they had turnout at this point of 2,010,000 votes. We're at 1.45 million votes.
That seems high.
In here to Election Day. Yeah, it does. It does seem high. And what you're going to see, Smug, here in the breakdown, the next graphic, let's put it up. All right, so this is how Virginians are voting by party. Just one caveat to this whole thing is that it's not as clean of data as it is in New Jersey because of the way that they do the registration. The registration in Virginia is the Secretary of State releases it for EV and vote by mail. But in advance votes in 2024, Democrats were modeled at 35%, Republicans at 27%. Now in 2025, Democrats at 42%, so a 7% improvement. Republicans upticking to 30%.
And you're seeing two things there. One is an adoption of early vote by both parties, right? Which is very, very much in question all throughout the last 5 years. And you see an uptick both in 2024 from 2022 and 2021. But you also see now the next step where both parties have a larger piece of the pie. The concerning part there is that you've got 42% of Democrats. The question is whether you're cannibalizing your vote, meaning all of your potential voters, 42% of them have already voted, and therefore obviously are out of play on Election Day, or whether or not that is indicative of a larger turnout model that can boost those top-line numbers for Democrats to get higher. And that's concerning, obviously, not only for the top of the ticket with Winsome Sears and Abigail Spanberger, but Jason Miara's race against this Jones character. And if you talk to people in Virginia, they think that the separation of the ballot, like I think Abigail Spanberger, at this point, people think she's going to win. Now, you can change that if you're in Virginia and you get all of your people out to vote and everybody shows up in record number on Election Day. But, like, the experts are all saying, like, they think that Spanberger's had this thing put away for a long time, which is why she didn't walk away from Jones and why she doesn't answer questions and why she doesn't do all these things. But the real question for them has always been in that AG race with Miara is with a deeply flawed candidate that is emblematic of today's Democratic Party, who is violent, who is moralist.
He's a straight up violent psychopath.
Yeah.
He's a horrible person, and that's just that's not opinion, folks. He's broken laws, and they've seen him. He gets away with it by volunteering essentially his own campaign. Like, this is unbelievable, and to make such a lawless psychopath.
Right.
The AG, I think, would be such an indictment on where Democrats are today. I think they celebrate the horrible things he said, and I think the vast majority of Democrats agree with it. And I think that party has become so bankrupt.
Well, Smug,
morally.
So Smug, like, I live in Northern Virginia. Holmes, you do. Ashbrook, you do. I don't know what your experience is, but I haven't seen a lot of J. Jones signs come down.
No.
And that is the most voter-rich area for the Democratic base when it comes to a statewide election in Virginia. I certainly anticipate there'll be atrophy downstate for Democratic voters who are like less brain dead and committed to political violence.
Yeah.
And that, they might, if not vote for Miaras, they might just leave that one blank.
Yep.
But I have no illusions about, the Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria Democrats finding religion and deciding that this guy is beyond the pale. I think they are going to vote for J. Jones.
No, the ends justify the means with much of that crew. But it is indicative and sort of a microcosm of today's Democratic Party in that you have the Zoran Mondanis, you have the violence, you have the mayor of Chicago and JB Pritzker and all these people who are sort of like inciting ICE attacks and all of these things. And then you have a Democratic establishment that sees the energy of that and they're like, just everybody shut up. Let it grow. Let it fester. Let it maybe.
I mean, Abigail Spanberg, what she say? Let the rage consume you. Like, they're running on it.
Yeah. I mean, so that it's a microcosm of the whole. And it makes me nervous. And look, I think that the long-term strategy of that is catastrophic for Democrats, no question about it. But what makes me nervous about the next, 12 months until we get to the midterms is that Democrats, if they were to win that J. Jones race, if they win Abigail Spanberger and they win J. Jones, and somehow New Jersey is closer than they want, and Zoran Mondani wins by a landslide, the message is the crazier the fucking better.
Yep.
Nobody gets excited about anybody who doesn't threaten violence upon their political opponents.
That's right.
And what we will have in turn is a more dangerous America, regardless of where your politics are. Like, that's a recipe for third world countries. Like, that's a bad omen for at least the next 12 months into what Democrat lessons they will take from this election.
Yeah, it is a terrifying thought, especially when you consider the number of terrorists who walked across the border in this country during the 4 years of the Biden administration. And then all of a sudden, America, Manhattan, imports a Ugandan to install Uganda-like policies on the greatest city in the planet. It is a problem. I don't care where you live. You might be thinking, and we talk about this amongst ourselves. We're like, why should everybody care about Manhattan? It's just a city. I mean, it's just a mayor's race. But the fact that Democrats are moving toward this radical side that nobody in this country has seen for a very long time, without a leader who's like, wait a minute, we need to figure out how to get the normies
Nobody's
back.
speaking to it.
Nobody is.
It's more than
That's a
Manhattan,
problem.
Staten Island. Even though they're Italian, they
Here's
don't
our New
deserve
York
Mamdani.
guy. Here's our New York guy. He's going to tell us about
Even
the
though
other
Staten
boroughs.
Island is full of Italians, they still don't deserve Mamdani. But I think he's going to win because New York is going to get what they deserve and what they vote for.
So one other thing I want us to quickly address here. I do think there's a chance that Miaras wins this thing. I think if it's inside 7 at the top of the ticket, he has a chance to win the AG's race. But we know, and if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this and you're a new listener, you don't know that we've run political campaigns for 15 years. So this might be a shock to you, this segment that we're talking about.
This isn't like Goat Fuckerville.
Yeah.
Like we're not
just doing yucks
We
and
actually
jokes.
know what we're talking. Yeah.
We're smart. We're smart.
Smart?
Smart.
I'm
Not
smart.
dumb, like they say.
Not like they say.
But I think the other side of this that we should briefly touch on here is like, what is the media going to say coming out of this if it's a clean sweep for the Democrats? They're going to obviously read the tea leaves ahead of the midterm and all those sorts of things. How do Republicans get ahead of that? What's our message and what do we do to change that?
Yeah, I think that's right. And look, there's a lot of, we'll get into a grander understanding post-election that we'll lay some things out where you guys understand where things are at from a right track, wrong track, from a Trump approval, from a congressional Republican approval. I will say this. If Democrats lose the state of New Jersey, it will be a grand pronouncement that somehow the brand of Democrats is so toxic that even in the most reliably blue place in this country, they can't overcome that. That they are just, everyone sees through the rudderlessness of that party. And any leadership at all, even if you've never voted Republican, is better than the leadership that they're providing.
But do you think the media will say that? Because I feel like they'll just...
No, but that's going to be the fact.
It'll be a fact, but the media is going to like put her on, the ice
wait
floe,
till you see what
and
they
they'd be
do
like,
to her.
Mickey, she ran a really terrible campaign.
She's dumb and terrible.
Yeah. You know how it is.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that that's a possibility is the reason why Barack Obama himself called Zohran Mamdani and he said, "I'm invested in your future beyond Election Day," because he's leaving himself a trap door so that if Mickey Sherrill comes up short, he's still in cahoots with the rising side of the Dem Party.
Yep, I think that's right. So our question of the day this week is, will the Democrats' cynical election strategy work? It's a good day for that question. You'll have, at least some of you that consume the program will have some inside knowledge on election results, but I encourage you to get in there. When you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program, we read every single one of them, and you all always provide insight that you don't get in this neck of the woods, so we appreciate it. Coming up, we're going to get to your comments from last episode. It's a question that's so simple, even a Democrat can answer it, and you're going to love your responses right after this.
All right, folks, this one's big. Open banking. It's about freedom, choice, and making sure you control your money, not the big Wall Street banks. Open banking lets you securely connect your bank accounts to the apps and services you choose, whether that's a budgeting app, a mortgage tool, or your crypto wallet. It's what keeps our financial system innovative and competitive, and is protected by Section 1033, a rule that started under President Trump. It guarantees your right to access and share your own financial data without paying extra fees or being locked into your bank's products. Thousands of Americans just told the CFPB in Congress, protect open banking. They spoke up for freedom and choice. Meanwhile, big Wall Street banks want to roll it back, wall off competition, and charge you to use your own money. That's not freedom, that's gatekeeping. Open banking keeps America leading. More competition, smarter tools, and real innovation. And you may have seen me post about this. The Washington Examiner had a great piece showing how open banking even protects religious freedom. Some banks have been debanking people over their beliefs. This rule helps stop that. So here's the bottom line. The CFPB and Congress need to act now. Keep open banking strong and keep America competitive.
Paid for by Americans for financial freedom.
Okay, when you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program, we ask you a question of the day, and you always answer it in a way that is fantastic. This question was, what is a question simple enough for a Democrat to actually answer? A confounding question that many of you
for the ages.
have weighed in on, and to do that, we always start with a voice.
Okay, first one comes from Drunk Engineer, and he writes, reporter, this is what the reporter says. What color is the sky? The Democrat replies, well, that depends on how the sky chooses to identify.
Excellent.
And then Drunk Engineer finishes it off with the reporter's reply, oh, for fuck's sake.
Very, very good comment too, Dunks Runks.
This is from Sarah Ferrando. Yeah. I thought it was Fernando, like the ABBA song.
Yeah.
What is the powerhouse of the cell?
Excellent.
What do you do when you are on fire? You know, all the valuable information their useless education system taught us all. Well, I do remember from the education system, the powerhouse of the cell is the mitochondria.
That's right.
Very well done.
And what about the fire? Stop, drop, and roll?
That's it.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Stop, drop, and roll. Yeah, we got that. That's good. All right. Smug, what do we got for comment 3?
Comment 3 is from M. Fundy. M. Fundy writes, change my mind. The one question all Dems can answer is, if you ask them who is enemy number one in the entire world, they will answer Donald Trump. That pretty much is the only thing that they say.
That's
it.
the
one answer.
It's the only thing they can agree on. It's incredible. A lot of great comments to that, and I think we just, we were somewhat flummoxed ourselves as to what it is that they can answer. You've provided some guidance on that. So
and
we
the listeners
greatly
and
appreciate
viewers
it.
always lighten our spirits.
They do.
And I appreciate
They
that.
always do. Coming up, when we come back, we're going to get into variety, fellas. A couple of big things happening. There's a pill-popping sheriff that, he had some issues that he's now apologizing for. He's begging for forgiveness, actually. And then an update on Macaque, which everybody tunes in for. So you're going to have to wait for that right after this. Okay, now for some variety. Smug, I think you flagged this one. There's a pill-popping sheriff the New York Post was interested in.
That's right. So the headline from the New York Post reads, Pill-popping sheriff who spent tax money on 100 packs of cigarettes and Chick-fil-A begs for forgiveness. The story from the New York Post says, a South Carolina sheriff faces decades in prison after he was caught blowing thousands in taxpayer funds on cigarettes, fast food, internet games, and pain pills. I had a simple take on this, which is you got to hear both sides, okay?
He might have a valuable...
I mean, this is a sheriff. It's not an easy job. The guy just wanted 100 packs of cigarettes and some Chick-fil-A. I mean, if he's locking him up, let the man eat.
I mean, do we back the blue or not?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if there was ever a case to back the blue.
He's buying the Lord's chicken.
Yeah, that's exactly
he's
right.
He's supporting Chick-fil-A, and he's just trying to smoke a couple cigs. You know, you'd lock people up all day. The kind of criminals we're dealing with in this country after Joe Biden opened the border.
Yeah, that's right.
The man wants some Chick-fil-A, and he wants to spark a heater. Let the man live.
He's ripping some darts. He's from Spartanburg County.
Yeah.
Chuck Wright, he's 60. He admitted Thursday to using county-provided credit card to fund a depressing years-long spending spree. That included buying nearly 100 packs of cigarettes at Dollar General.
And that's the other thing. This isn't a guy who's like living in the lap of luxury. He's just pulling up to a Dollar General and buying a pack of smokes.
Yeah, just wants to rip some darts.
Can we get off this man's back? We're talking decades in prison. Why are we locking this guy up?
It's actually
like, are these the people we're putting in jail? Because I can think of half the senators who are Democrats should probably be in there before this guy.
I mean, it's true. What is worse for this country, sending 20B to a roundabout accounting scheme that funnels a couple of B into a nonprofit controlled by Stacey Abrams that has $100 in their bank account, never demonstrated any value, or this Spartanburg sheriff who just wants to rip some darts and hang out with the fellas?
I mean, if we have this sheriff buying packs of cigs and some Chick-fil-A, seeing the inside of a jail cell before Alex Soros, what's going on in this country?
Okay, but breaking news. I have something I think is disqualifying for the sheriff.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. What do we
It wasn't just cigs and Chick-fil-A, which is awesome. He also spent nearly $1,300 in the App Store on games like Ramp Car Jumping, Huntwise, and Royal Match.
He was probably out in the beat. He was probably staking out some terrorist. And it's like, the guy doesn't come out of his house and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You got to play Huntwise,
you gotta
Royal
play Candy Crush?
Well, something.
On my dime?
I don't know.
Dude, also, he blew $5,000 at restaurants like Fuddruckers.
Yeah. They make a good cheeseburger. They'll let you do it yourself.
This dude's killing it, bro. Just trying to have some Fuddruckers and cigarettes?
He also...
I'm not mad.
They let you choose your toppings.
Okay. A quick aside here on John Ashbrook and cheeseburgers. I got to tell this story because it just flummoxed me last time we were at a restaurant recently and we were getting lunch and Ashbrook asked for a cheeseburger. Like he was at a 5-star steakhouse.
Oh, he does have a ridiculous cheeseburger order.
He asked for it medium plus.
Yeah.
I wanted not medium. Not medium well, medium plus.
We're at a dive bar.
Like there is some chef back there who's like cutting up the Wagyu to go and do his hamburger.
This bar we're at, by the way, has like 1 million mosquitoes in there. It's like a pit of hell, right? It's not the finest establishment.
But
this is like a down on your luck kind of place.
But it's a great cheeseburger. It's an outstanding cheeseburger.
Medium plus.
And they did it. It's cooked throughout. Great crust on the top and bottom. Highly recommend that order.
He also butterflies a filet.
Yeah.
Which is
when you go to a steakhouse, he gets a filet and he butterflies it and turns it into 2 sirloins.
But the best part is
delicious.
It's the pageantry of the order, where if you go to a steakhouse,
dude, this is what happens. You let these people out of Ohio. You know what I mean?
I apologize for nothing. I want crust on a steak, and I want it to be cooked.
I mean, now that I think about it, John Ashbrook has so many eccentricities about how he orders things. There's one more I have, which is that he will randomly go to a restaurant without looking at the menu and be like, I'll have your BLT.
Yeah. Dude, we never should have let these people out of Ohio.
They don't even have a BLT on the menu. He's like, you have the ingredients.
But it's not like I'm ordering pheasant under glass, buddy. They have the ingredients. It's bread. It's bread and bacon, tomato, and lettuce. Everything's in the back.
He's got. I would say 80% of the time it's totally off menu.
Custom. Totally custom.
Dude,
Yeah.
That's how you get. I'm telling you, these Ohio people are such a problem. Like, order off the menu and shit. Like, who do you think you are, bro? Get out of here.
This poor sheriff segment just got completely ransacked by the
I think
good
it was
man
worth
from-
it.
Yeah, it was probably great. Do you guys want to hear about Macaque?
Yeah.
No one said yes.
I said yes.
So as you know, we have somewhat of a monkey fetish here in the Ruthless Variety program, and that they seem to be a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Cock is always in trouble of some form or fashion, and so there's an update on some of this. This was according to the Associated Press, venerable publication, the Associated Press. One of the monkeys that escaped last week. Remember, we covered this story.
Yeah. Yep. The overturned truck.
Yeah. After a truck overturned in Mississippi roadway, was shot and killed early Sunday by a homeowner who says she feared for the safety of her children.
Can we get that image back up and not like, a mini size? Can computer enhance?
That's the overturned truck.
Yeah.
And there's in theory, there's a little monkey there sitting on the box.
The rabid monkey.
Yeah, so that monkey right there, like there was
Folks watching on like 100-inch TV, congrats, you're the only people who could see that.
Yeah, well, there's like 6 or 7 of these monkeys that were immediately returned. And recall, I think these are the same monkeys that had like hepatitis, COVID.
Wait, were they? They were caught or they were killed? I can't remember.
Well, they were caught. The first, well,
There it is. Look at that, computer enhanced. There it is.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
I think they said eliminated.
When they were caught, you know what happened.
Yeah, they were no longer.
And then there was one left, and
Yes.
it was roaming around Mississippi. And thank God for Jessica Bond Ferguson, who's the woman who took action. She saw can I just read from this?
Yeah.
She got out of bed, grabbed her firearm and her cell phone, stepped outside where she saw the monkey about 60 feet away. Bob Ferguson, she said, had been warned that the escaped monkeys carried diseases, so she fired her gun. She took action. She stopped this rabid monkey from harming her family. This is an American hero.
Well, when you see Macaque coming at you, you have to take action.
Got it.
And she did
Especially
that.
when children are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I honestly. We've talked about a banana pool. We've talked about different ways to sort of out-strategize this particular breed of monkey. And what we've landed on here is a woman just picked up her gun and shot it.
Yep, well, I like her quote here. She said, I shot at it, and it just stood there. And I shot again, and he backed up, and that's when he fell.
Oh.
Matter of fact. She's like the John Wayne of Mississippi.
Yeah, I think the
lady
only
is
bad
fantastic.
news. The only bad news out of this is the other criminal monkeys weren't around to witness this and get the message.
That's
Couldn't
the thing.
send a
Good point.
message.
Great
You
point.
know?
Couldn't send a message.
Yeah.
Well, they had been dealt with previously.
Yeah.
Maybe this Macaque knew it was coming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way.
Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, the search. The search comes about 1 year after 43 macaques escaped from a South Carolina compound. That was the story that I remembered last time when we talked about the overturned truck. That there had been a bunch of these things that were like, they're giving them diseases and stuff, and these things get out and they just worm around.
It's
Like,
a
you gotta
little
take 'em out.
unsettling.
Yeah.
It doesn't. So it says nothing about what happened to the monkey after she killed it. Like the rule should be you're allowed to keep it. Like I'd keep that thing stuffed and
No,
put
you
it
don't
in the
want
living room.
You don't want to touch it.
No,
full
after
of
it's dead.
disease.
After it's dead, dude, disease dies when the animal dies.
Do you think the corporate scientist showed up and just
100%. The
cleaned it
disease
out?
is gone. You
Hold on.
give it to the taxidermy guy. He's going to drain the blood out of it. He's going
wants
to
a
give
rug.
it back to you stuffed.
He wants a rug.
And so, I'd have it posed like climbing on a tree and put that in the living room. And everyone's like, why do you have a stuffed monkey? Well, I shot that motherfucker.
Dude,
That's why. Why don't you have a monkey in your living room?
the best
It's like I had to get the monkey off my back, dude. There's a million jokes.
every single animal segment we do ends in smug with a taxidermy component.
Yeah.
It's something.
We have so many listeners, and not a single one has killed a bear and sent me the rug.
God bless it. Well, I'm sure Senator McCormick is going to be happy to chime in on all that. Listen, this is one of the guiding lights that we have in Washington, D.C. This guy's so smart on so many different issues. Also, just a terrific moral compass. You've seen what he's done in terms of a bipartisan relationship with Senator Fetterman, one of the very few partnerships that anybody can have any sort of like optimism about with today's Democratic Party, and this guy's been in the middle of it. I want to welcome to the program one of our absolute favorites. I think, gosh, you got to be earning a jacket at this point. I think it's 4 or 5 times that this guy's been on. Senator Dave McCormick, how are you?
I'm great. Good to be with you guys. Thanks for having me again.
It's great to have you. Interesting times, to say the least. Government shutdown. I'm sure that's not something you signed up for when you decided to run for the United States Senate, but you get here and it turns out there's a whole Democratic agenda here that well, it's indecipherable logically. But one thing I wanted to start with you on is Fetterman. I have noticed that you and your relationship with him, at least externally as we can consume it, seems genuine. You do joint events. You talk about, you know, in this case, the stupidity of a government shutdown. He comes at it from a different angle than you come at it. But you have a similar sense of messaging. Is that relationship, is it as authentic?
It really is. You know, first of all, I'm a business guy. I came to Washington. Like, this government shutdown stuff is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So to try to get our way, we're going to hurt the people we're supposed to be serving.
Right.
Many of whom are our people that vote for us, like the Teamsters and people like that. And we're going to try to use this to get political leverage. And every day that goes by, more people are hurt by it. I mean, it's absolute nonsense. But, you know, Senator Fetterman campaigned against me.
Yeah.
With Bob Casey.
I remember it well.
Yeah, he was pretty good at it.
Yeah. Many people were saying had that primary worked a different way, maybe Fetterman's never here at all. But you had this confrontational relationship, and it's just sort of surprising.
Well, I sat down with him soon after winning, and we had a conversation. He said, we agreed, listen, we both serve the people of Pennsylvania. Ironically, a lot of the same people that voted for him voted for me. Yeah. And we're going to work together any way we can. And we disagree on more things than we agree on. Where we disagree, we're going to be respectful, civil. Whatever we say to one another, we do it with complete trust. Mm-hmm. We talk about everything that's going on, and we try to find ways to work together. So it's not just Israel and anti-Semitism and the government shutdown. It's fentanyl. It's fracking. We have found a lot of ways to work together, and I trust him. And you know, he's fun. My wife and I like him.
So you get along socially.
Yeah,
too.
we went out to dinner. This was a classic. And we went out to dinner in Pittsburgh. This is soon after the election, and we're at a restaurant, and people were lined up to get selfies with him.
Well, because he's pretty recognizable.
He's pretty recognizable,
right? Yeah.
And at one point he sort of felt awkward about it. He said, "Hey, he's a senator too." I said, "It's fine, you know." But there's been lots of benefits in addition to being a good guy. Like, there used to be a constant criticism from Dina about what I wear.
Yeah, right. No longer.
I mean, I'm pretty much open. Whatever I want to wear, I wear. So it's been good.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, you haven't adopted the uniform of a Pennsylvania senator. It's a hoodie, I think.
Yeah, and gym shorts.
People have tried to get us to move me in the hoodie direction. But I'll tell you a nice story about him. You know, he votes. He sticks his thumb in and votes. He doesn't wear a suit, so he's not.
Yeah, because you can't go on the floor with.
So I gave my maiden voyage speech, which you guys recognize, and I'm in the middle of giving the speech, and I look over, and there seated in the chamber is John Fetterman in a suit.
Wow. Yeah, wow. That means a lot
as a show of respect.
Yeah.
And he came over and. Said congratulations.
He's like, what do I have to do to get out of this thing?
So one time, I haven't seen him since, but good man.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, look, on the shutdown in particular, we have theorized, in fact, Smash is, I think, the person who sort of authored this line of thinking here about a month ago, that a component to what it is the Democrats are doing, it relates to this election that's coming up. And you know, I think a lot of people were sort of skeptical about that because of government workers, their level of sophistication about who's shutting the government down or whatnot. But now that this whole thing is played out, it clearly appears to be at least a component to what Democrats are trying to do. Have you detected any of that on the floor of the Senate?
Oh, sure. I think anybody who's sort of honest on their side recognizes this is very bad policy for a political objective, to be able to show that they're fighting back against President Trump. It reminds me of that Blazing Saddles scene where he has the gun to his head, "Stop or I'll shoot." That is what is going on here, where every day that goes by, it just is putting more and more pressure and damaging people. And that's why Senator Fetterman and I have been able to stand together in this. And I've said publicly, listen, if the roles were reversed and I was in the minority and there was a Democrat in the White House, I wouldn't vote to shutting down the government. I'd vote to continue to have the government operate while we're negotiating whatever we're going to negotiate. Because to do otherwise, I think really hurts the people that your primary responsibility is to serve.
Yeah. Now you have the Federal Employees Union and so many others coming out against the shutdown, saying that Democrats should pass a clean CR. And I just wonder, do you think, I mean, given the number of federal employees who live in Virginia and Maryland, do you think that's going to move Mark Warner, Tim Kaine, Angela Alsobrooks, and Chris Van Hollen off of their no vote on a clean CR? Do you think that changes their mind?
I think the pressure's growing, but at least in Pennsylvania, SNAP is a really big deal. SNAP is a really big deal. We have 2 million people that are recipients. You're literally, by not opening the government, the Democrats are taking food out of the mouths of people who are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I understand just today an announcement there's some temporary bridge on that for the next couple of weeks, but that is the big one, and that pressure is really growing. And if you're a Democrat and you're saying, listen, we're here to serve the poor people, we're here to serve working families, this is just disastrous and getting worse.
And also on one thing, I'm happy to be able to say this. You have not seen any division among Republicans in the Senate. One team, one dream. Meanwhile, you've seen cracks forming among the Democrats. That's got to be making it more difficult for Schumer to try to hold his coalition together. He's already basically doing this so he doesn't get primaried by AOC, but you're starting to see pressure, especially among the senators in Georgia, of like, if you're in cycle, you can't allow this to go on.
Right. Well, and there's no doubt that we are on the side of right as Republicans on the logic. Democrats and Republicans have passed clean CRs in the past. This is clearly purely political. Now, the risk was that we would lose the messaging battle, even though we were right on substance. I think what's happened is, because we've hammered a consistent message, to your point, that this is Chuck Schumer's shutdown. He is making the choice. We want to do standard business. We're open, by the way, to talking about the extension of what those Obamacare subsidies should look like. I have my own opinions on that. I think there's a lot of problems with what they are, but there's also some real risk for working people in Pennsylvania. We're ready to have that discussion, but we got to open up the government to do it. And that alignment from the White House, the House, and the Senate, been pretty great.
I'm curious, Fetterman and other, Democrats that you talk to in the United States Senate, in seeing what's happening in New York with Mamdani, would they admit more than they'd say publicly on that they're worried about the future direction of the Democratic Party?
Well, the great thing about Fetterman is he says it publicly. He said, but I think you got two dynamics going on in the Democratic Party. The first is this radical fringe left element is becoming the core of the Democratic Party. When you have mainstream Democrats endorsing Mamdani, you know that we're in a unique situation. And he is advocating a set of ideas that are truly socialism and are going to cut against everything that's right for the future of New York. So you have this radical hijacking. Socialism has been tried again and again and has ended up in the dustbin of history. And yet we have this 30-something-year-old guy making the case, and people are getting behind him. Shocking. The second thing here is an outbreak in inauthenticity, right?
Yes, totally.
And I caught this from you guys where you did the Gavin Newsom thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
the world?
That was unbelievable. And while I got you, I want to talk about my origin story. We used to eat Wonder Bread too. Sometimes times were so tough we had to use the smooth peanut butter instead of chunky peanut butter. Mac and cheese. I mean, are you kidding me? Right? So this is just emblematic of a party that's lost its way. And you have these people thrashing around trying to find something they can get their hooks into that's going to be politically viable. I think it's sad in the following sense. Big picture, I know some of my friends who are Republicans won't agree. We want a healthy Democratic Party because you want an opponent that's going to keep you sharp and make you defend your ideas. I think what's happening now is a lurch to the left.
It seems rudderless in a lot of ways. Like, I mean, nobody can make any kind of substantial argument to me that Chuck Schumer is leading anything.
No.
I mean, what he's doing is he's afraid of Mamdani, he's afraid of AOC, he's afraid of keeping his own job, doesn't want to get run out and embarrassed, but he also is afraid of trying to lead in a different direction for fear that all that accelerates the end of his career. And then you got a whole bunch of people underneath it, the Fettermans notwithstanding, that are basically like, yeah, we don't want that either, so let's just like perpetuate bad policy and not actually call a spade on any of this stuff.
Yeah, well, listen, how that plays out nationally, I can't speak to with any authority, but I can see it in Pennsylvania. And that's essentially why the Democrats lost in the 2024 cycle, was that Kamala Harris and Bob Casey couldn't say, listen, we're going to embrace fracking, right? We don't want crime in our cities. We're not opposed to transgender transitions for kids. We want boys and girls. Like, these are basic things that mainstream Republicans and Democrats agree on.
They're all 70-30s.
Right. And so, again, and I can't speak to New York City. I know in Pennsylvania, that is a path to disaster for the Democrats. And if they don't find a way to serve the needs of working people in Pennsylvania, that traditional coalition that has been Democrat, that now went with President Trump and me in 2024, those are going to be red voters into perpetuity if the Democratic Party is supporting guys like Mamdani.
Yeah. I think do you find it surprising, especially, after that 2024 election where it seemed like the entire center and rational part of the country spoke resoundingly that they don't want to deal with these crazy left-wing ideas. But now you see the lessons that the Democrat Party is taking is, I guess, we didn't go far left enough.
Yeah, I really do find it shocking. I do find it shocking. And again, New York politics, I don't think we should take New York City and sort of extrapolate. But I know in Pennsylvania, that is foreign to the large majority of people who just want inflation to be in check, want to stop the flow of fentanyl, want to be able to walk down the streets.
But I do think it's connected. I understand like your modesty and sort of pretending like you don't understand the grand thing, and I'm just a Pennsylvania guy. This is one of the smartest guys in the Senate. I can assure you he knows exactly what this is. I mean, the issue with the lack of leadership and having somebody like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries at the top of the Democratic Party is the Mamdani thing does matter to Pennsylvania. And everywhere else the Democrats have their name on the ballot, because if you were afraid to say, hey, it turns out that like Islamic extremism isn't great, I don't really want to do a fundraiser with a terrorist, and I'm like sort of upset about the idea that you're just in full confiscatory communism in the major city in the United States, but you can't speak to it at any level. That just invites more of it within the Democratic Party.
100%. Both the anti-Semitism and the embrace of radical economic ideas. So now the good or the bad of this is we're going to have if he wins, which I suspect he will, we're going to have a real life experiment. That's gonna play out.
They're going to have to confront this.
12 to 24 months, right? So what happens when there's a billionaire's tax? What happens when you start to try to privatize or take control of grocery stores? What happens when you don't have police on the streets? I mean, it doesn't take long. It takes a long time to build something great, whether it's a company or a city. It doesn't take long to tear it down. And we're going to have a real world experiment that's been tried over and over again in Europe and other places.
Yeah, we have a pretty good record.
And it's going to fail. And now what's different on this guy is not only are the ideas deeply flawed, he's never done anything in his life before. This is a true experiment. It's like you're picking a guy out of the phone book and saying, hey, let's give it a shot. Why don't you run one of the greatest cities in the world and one of the biggest? So it's going to be a real experiment, but it's going to, I suspect, be a disaster. And when it's a disaster, the question will be, does the pendulum swing back?
Yeah, well, it is a good question. Listen, the other thing that we listen to everything that you have to say on issues of the Middle East. Obviously, you've got a career, you served, you've paid attention to this your entire career. Huge developments here in the last month with the Trump administration, a peace deal that, it's still a work in progress but way more progress than we've had in the last 30 years. Where do you think all that stands? And I know you've spent a lot of time thinking about this, visiting the region, talking to people. Like, where do you think all of that is?
Well, I'm modest. I mean, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. But you got to go back to October 7th. What happened on October 7th was really there were two surprise attacks. What happened with Hamas coming across the border, killing 1,200 innocent Israelis, but also this rise of anti-Semitism around the world, much of it funded by Iran and other places here in the United States, but also around the world. And if you had imagined then on that day that 2+ years later, Iran's nuclear capability would have been dramatically impeded, that Hezbollah would have been, for the most part, incapacitated, that Hamas would have been dramatically reduced, and that President Trump, and you got to give President Trump the credit, I don't think there's another president that could have possibly brought together Israel and the Gulf, Arabs, Egypt, Turkey, to stand behind a 21-point plan. And to say we're going to get in, we're going to do this together, and we're going to have a ceasefire and then a path to peace and a path to economic prosperity. That would have been unthinkable on October 7th, just unthinkable. And I think it's a chessboard that President Trump has played well. I think those personal relationships with the Arab countries have been a big part of it. I think his deep commitment to Israel, but also his willingness to put pressure on Israel and to put pressure on Bibi, Prime Minister Netanyahu. These things have all led to an extraordinary moment. Now, we got to capitalize on it. Yeah. We got to get to Abraham Accords, too, but I think that is remarkable. I think on the second war, we still have a lot of work to do, and it goes to New York City. What you saw there's clearly this enormous move to the left, on the left of anti-Semitism. Yeah. It's on the rise. It's on our nation's campuses. We have elements of that on the right. Yeah. That we have to. Listen, we're a party. Conservatives we're brought together by values. That doesn't mean we agree on everything. We don't agree on tariffs. We don't always agree on America's role in the world. But we do agree on some fundamental values, and they're basic things like, Hitler's not a good guy, right?
Seems that like a low bar.
The Holocaust did happen.
Yeah, right.
Right? So we also have to be, as conservatives and Republicans, don't give voice to these ideas. That's not a First Amendment issue. The First Amendment, people can speak their mind, but we shouldn't platform them and amplify those views that are antithetical to what we believe is conservative. So we got work to do on both fronts.
Yeah, how much are you concerned about that? 'Cause, I've gone through different iterations of this over the years where, one, it was just like sort of incomprehensible to me at any level to have even the idea of anti-Semitism is taking root in any point in America. I mean, it turns out we fought a pretty significant war in part over this deal, and it's sort of been rooted in American culture, at least in my life. And you've watched the Democratic Party talk about their Michigan problem.
Yeah.
Right? Which was just an anti-Semitism issue, which is why the governor of your state didn't find himself in the VP slot in all likelihood. So we knew which way the Democrat Party was going. And then you see this stuff start to bubble up on the right. And I sometimes I think it's just sort of like a flash in the pan type. We're trying to be provocative type stuff, but then over the last couple of weeks, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like there is some component, however it's motivated, and it does need to be confronted.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of the problem on the left is they didn't confront it.
Yeah.
To your point, and so it's like anything else. If it's not confronted, it grows. If there's not a counterbalance, it grows. And I think it's a real problem on the left. I think we have elements of that on the right, and it depends on what we do.
Yeah.
And we have to confront it. And I think it's really important that we as Republicans and conservatives say, hey, we stand for the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Don't get that confused with this. This is about having a common set of values, things that we agree are true and that we deeply believe in. And we're not going to give platform to those voices that are completely inconsistent with our values. And we're certainly not going to let those views that we disagree with go unchecked.
Yeah.
And I think also there's something to be said of the fact that you look at someone like who's now a national figure, Zohran Mamdani, who said he wants to globalize the Intifada. Then you get news this weekend that former President Barack Obama gave him a phone call this weekend and was like, listen, let me be a sounding board for you. And then people dig up old tweets from Zohran Mamdani where he's like, Barack Obama's a war criminal who killed people in the Middle East. And they are now completely surrendering to that element.
They're like, but he's got the votes, so we got to be in on that.
Now, he's now invited to Thanksgiving dinner. He's at the table, right? Yeah. That's not, we've got to not do that.
Yeah.
We've got...
So it's important, you see that, I think similarly to the way I see it, which is, I don't want to go chasing what everybody is, what they say, what they're... that's not... I know what we say, I know what we believe, I know what the party believes. But you have to, at some level.
Yeah.
Get
well,
out
two
there.
things. We got to be a party, I think, that welcomes different divisions and disagreement. And we got to debate and hammer those differences out. Like we're now in many ways reinventing what the Republican Party is. It's a much more populist party. I ran on a set of policies to support working people. We have to be able to reconcile that with Reaganism or whatever it is to have an intellectual framework where we can win elections and change the direction of the country. That's happening. That's different than giving voice to something that we all, by and large, fundamentally disagree with. And by inviting those views into the conversation like they're legitimate views, that the Holocaust didn't happen as an example, then you're delegitimizing the entire party, and you're also giving some oxygen to those views. So people can say what they want to say. I wore the uniform. I fought to make sure that First Amendment's something every American has. So it's not a First Amendment issue. It's a who do we want to have at the Thanksgiving table? Right?
Yeah. Listen, it's really well said. The economy. Again, I'm not sure there's anybody we trust more on these issues than you.
I don't know. If you see my real estate history, it's buy high, sell low. So I would don't listen to me on this, Mug.
I've seen the rest of your history. It doesn't look like that. But listen, the president had a big.
By the way, I said this when I was coming in. I want to meet. You guys look prosperous to me right now. After this Fox deal, you're looking very prosperous.
That's very kind of you. We try to exude that. No, but listen, you followed very closely the president's trip to Asia. Tariffs, big deal to your state, to the country, where we're at from our economy. Like, just give us your thumbnail about all
I mean,
that.
I feel good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really feel good. So, first of all, just think of the economy as like a sailboat. And here's the wind you got at your back. Certainty on the tax cuts, the accelerated depreciation. It is the most pro-business tax regime we've had. Two, you've got deregulation. This is going to be the biggest bout of deregulation since Reagan in '81. That is a huge lift on GDP, streamlines business, gets capital into the markets. Third thing, we've got this huge splurge of foreign direct investment coming into the country. I want to talk about Pennsylvania at some point. We've got billions of dollars coming into Pennsylvania that wasn't happening under the Biden administration, that's happening under the Trump administration, and that's a huge driver.
Turns out he thinks that like selling America abroad is an important thing.
Yeah. Right, like a business guy. Who would have thought? Telling people that America is where you should be investing, right? And then the tariffs, which have been a source of uncertainty. Like when you talk to CEOs in Pennsylvania, like, man, I don't know where to allocate my capital. I'm worried. All that uncertainty is starting to get squeezed out of the system. You see these deals in Japan. $100 billion in Westinghouse in Pennsylvania.
That nuclear deal is amazing.
Amazing, right? Hanwha in South Korea. They bought the Philadelphia shipyard, $5 billion of new investment in the shipyard, 5,000 new jobs. These are welders and pipe fitters and steam fitters. Huge, huge opportunity. So you're seeing that, and you're seeing the energy dominance, the commitment to unlocking energy and being the energy dominant nation.
Which is the thing. That's the undergird.
Those are all wins at your back, right? Inflation has not, despite all these protests, the clutching of pearls of all the economists. No, it hasn't happened. Hasn't happened. We watch it, but hasn't happened. 3.8. GDP growth in the second quarter beat everybody's expectations. So listen, we got to be very careful. The interest rate cut's going to give more stimulus. We got to monitor this very carefully, but the president's policies are working, and I'm very optimistic about that.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Me too.
Doesn't that make you feel great?
Yeah.
What's this thing down here?
Now, this is Woodburn Farms. This is a whiskey from Pennsylvania as a gift. It's easier to pronounce than Yingling, and I brought it.
We nearly
for
ended your
all of
career
you.
before it started.
Oh my God! And the great thing about this, which I've not had this, so I'm bringing it to you as a gift that we can taste together at some point. But this is it was founded in 1850. This distillery, it's on a farm outside of Carlisle, and the wife of the founder in 1850 was the great-great-granddaughter of William Penn, who was the founder of Pennsylvania.
I mean,
and so this has some.
Guy knits it all together with a bottle of bourbon.
I mean, who would have thought?
That's my favorite kind of history.
I mean, who would have thought? This is a history lesson. And by the way, I want you to pay attention to what's happening the next year, 250th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huge thing for Pennsylvania.
Yep.
I mean, the country conceived in Pennsylvania.
I mean, every Pennsylvania, they're a little bit like our people from Ohio.
But they
right?
actually accomplish things in Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Smug. That actually took the words out of my mouth. I mean, what is the Ohio thing? I mean,
at least try stealing first and flight from North Carolina. These people are thieving.
At least you're not from Philadelphia. I get that from my wife. In fact, one of the last times I saw you was at that Eagles Super Bowl party, and I walked in and I had my kids in Eagles jerseys, like much to my dismay. And I turned around and McCormick's looking at me. He's like, "What the hell are you doing here?"
Do I have time to tell you a quick Eagles story?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm a Steelers fan, right? I am a Steelers fan, tried and true. But if the Steelers are out and the Eagles are in, then I'll cheer for the Eagles, obviously. But the toughest day is Eagles-Steelers. So after the election last time, I go to this Eagles-Steelers game. It's in Philadelphia. And we go down on the field. It's cold. And Dean's like, we got to go upstairs. We got to go back up. So we're going back up. And it's like 175 feet walking through the Philadelphia stands.
Yeah.
Right? These are the people that threw snowballs at Santa Claus.
Yeah,
This is
and
not
and batteries.
And this is not an easy crowd.
They're not above
So I'm
that
walking
for a
up. Now,
senator.
mind you, $500 million of advertising in Pennsylvania. Everybody knows my face.
Yeah.
300 million of it negative. So at least half don't like me, right? So we're walking up, and I'm like, ooh, this is, and they couldn't be nicer. Like, high fives. You did it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's
Great.
incredible.
And we get about 2/3 of the way up, and there's this kind of drunken guy on the left side, and he looks at me, Dean and I are walking together, and he says, F you. And I'm like, wow. And Dean is like, oh my God, that's he seems aggressive. And I had heard F you before on the campaign trail. That was not my.
That was brand new to you.
That was not my first
The campaign
one.
was an education.
But I said to Dean, and this is the way I think about it. We'll put him down as undecided. And that's the way you got to deal with this, right? He's undecided. He just hasn't had a chance to learn about the efforts we're taking to save America.
And he just knew you were a Steelers fan. He didn't know
Exactly.
anything.
He didn't even know who I was.
I love it. Listen, you are the absolute best. Thank you so much for joining us. We should figure out how to have a little bit of that because I'm curious.
I mean, I don't want to get in the way of all the productivity happening in the office. I mean, I don't.
Why is everybody laughing? That's very productive. Listen, you are doing the best work, and I'm so proud to have you in the United States Senate. It's like one of those people, every once in a while the stars align that you're just like, yes, thank goodness we've got this guy here.
The right people are there.
So thanks.
Privileged to be there, really. And always good to be on your show. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
I mean, I just love when that guy comes by. He is so smart on so many different things. Businessman coming to the Senate, bringing common sense. And then the relationship he's built with John Fetterman is something that I feel like we're going to need to watch because that's sort of a path forward for how Republicans and Democrats can maybe get back together.
Well, people forget the goal when you're elected to a legislative body isn't just sitting there and saying, like, I believe in this. Like that. That's fine. Principled stands, they're fine, and they do have value. But you don't ever really succeed unless you persuade other people to adopt your point of view that may not be ordinarily inclined to do so. So, I mean, this is one of the reasons why we love this guy, is that, and it like, Sheehy's another one that showed up. Everybody thought, well, he's this, like, ideological warrior or whatever, and he said the first thing he did is go talk to, like, 10 Democratic colleagues to help them understand what he already knew about wildfires out west and how you could reform the system. And then he put a package together that sailed through the United States Senate. Like, that's why you elect people. It's not so you show up and you're like, I believe. Well, that fucking gets you nowhere. You got to have that component to believe in something. But then do you have the ability to go talk to somebody who's ideologically different and help them understand what you already understand?
It's like I always say, you either want to make a point or you want to make a difference. You know, are you going to show up and try to give a nice speech or are you going to try to move the ball?
Yeah, you coined that.
And that's what McCormick does is he's moving the ball.
You coined that.
Well, and the one other thing I would say about McCormick more than most of the people in Congress is he fundamentally understands the economy.
Yes.
Like at such a high level.
Yeah.
And what he was going through with the success of the Trump administration, everything they're doing to reshore jobs and improve the economy and fight inflation, all these sorts of things. Like his voice and that message is going to be incredibly important over the next year.
The most important, probably.
It is the thing.
Yep.
Like I love winning the culture war and all of those things are important. Fighting crime and showing how inept the Democrats are, fantastic and important. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the kitchen table issues for your average voter is what's going to decide the midterms. And a guy like that gets it.
All those working class people who took a personal risk in supporting what President Trump and Republicans were talking about, that's what it's measured against on the economic side of things. And I agree with him. I mean, look, if that guy could be just a spokesperson for that along with the president and the vice president, I'd feel very good about our messaging. It's not that easy all the time. But we're going to see what happens tonight and look forward to getting back to you on Thursday about the results of all that and what it means. Thank you for tuning in. When you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program, we ask you a question. This one is, will the Democrats' cynical election strategy work? You tell us what you think. We get back to the very next episode. Check out some merch while you're there. Like and subscribe. Enjoy the stuff. We enjoy having you. I think we did it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Senator McCormick, and thank you to the man. Just like Holmes said, if you have not yet, go to the YouTube, hit that subscribe because it's more fun in video. So until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you Thursday. Stay ruthless.